In this video, I'm going to explore two lens options for a portrait lens on the Sony E-mount system. The first option I'm looking at is the Zeiss. This is the Batis 85mm and is at a f1.8. This lens offers Zeiss T coatings, so minimal reflections, and has 3 low dispersion elements to help cut down on chromatic aberration and flaring. And I'm comparing this lens to the Sigma, and this lens is a f1.4. And again, they have their super coatings on this to prevent flaring. And I believe the Sigma uses, 4 or 5 different low dispersion elements. And the idea is to cut down on chromatic aberration using those. And both of these lenses are excellent options for Sony E-mount. The Sigma is not stabilized, whereas the Zeiss is. The Sigma has manual controls for both autofocus. There is a programmable button. The aperture dial is declickable, and there is actually an aperture control on the Sigma, which is nice. The Zeiss mostly has none of that. The only thing it really has is a focus ring and an OLED display on the top of the lens, which can show you your depth of field information. Build quality wise, both lenses are excellent. The Sigma has a weight to it, which definitely on first impression might give you the idea that it's maybe a little more substantial. But when you inspect the Zeiss, you start to appreciate that low weight because you notice this tulip design, which I believe adds strength and rigidity to this outer metal casing of the lens. Overall, this lens feels very, very well made. I might even give it the edge over the Sigma because the Sigma does have some plastic pieces to it, whereas the Zeiss appears to be fully metal. Both excellent lenses. So why these two lenses? Why not look into something, say, the Sony 85mm 1.4, which is another excellent lens? For me, the main reason came down to weight. The Sigma and the Zeiss, well, particularly the Zeiss, weighs in at around 450 grams, and that weight puts it at almost half the weight of the equivalent Sony lens, or not so much the equivalent Sony lens, but of the 1.4 Sony lens, making this an excellent choice if you want to travel, and you want to travel light is probably the primary thing. Whereas the Sigma is a bit heavier at about 600 or so grams, not quite as heavy as the Sony, but still a reasonable weight to carry with and travel with. So both excellent choices. The front element on the Sigma, as you may notice, is much larger than the front element on the Zeiss. But for me, what this also means is that most of my filter threads are going to be in a 67mm range. This, I believe, is closer to 77mm, meaning I would have to adapt. And worse still, I'd have to actually use my 82mm filter threads and then use a step-down ring in order to use them on this. So I'm not wild about that idea. Image quality wise, it really is splitting hairs to decide which one's better. But in my opinion, the Zeiss has a slight edge in that there is an element to this that maybe is hard to quantify. Some will call it the Zeiss pop or the Zeiss magic, that things appear 3D. And I'm going to say that that is probably true, particularly of this lens, and so far the other lenses in the Zeiss Batis. The 40mm is filming this right now. I find the Batis series to be really quite exceptional lenses, and this is no different to the rest of them. The Sigma, on the other hand, seems to offer a lot of value. Well built, weather sealing, of course, which is demonstrated on both lenses. All in all, this is a great value for money. If you need that extra light gathering capabilities, then the Sigma is probably your choice. If you prefer to have something lightweight, and if you already have a lot of 67mm filters and NDs and things of that nature, I might say that perhaps the Zeiss will represent a better value for you. For me, it really comes down to this. Both great lenses. I had a hell of a time trying to choose between them. Ultimately, I think the Sigma is the one that's going to stay, be returned rather, and the Zeiss is probably the one I'll hold on to. And the reasons come down to mainly compatibility with my existing filters, overall slightly better build quality and a more modern design, as well as the fact that it has that element that is very hard to quantify. Let's just call it the Zeiss pop for now, but whatever it is, this definitely has it in spades. I find that for video work particularly, the extra depth of field afforded by the f1.4 versus f1.8 quite often plays against you, because you end up with backgrounds that are not really distinguishable as to what they are. So for video work, I don't usually go quite to f1.4. Also, when focusing on people's faces at closer distances, you can have situations where the nose is out of focus, whereas the rest of the face is in focus, or maybe the eyes are out of focus or in focus, and eyelashes are out of focus. So I just think that probably for filming, this might be a better choice, and that the extra light gathering capabilities of the Sigma might go unutilized. So that's my take on these two. Now, I also did get a chance to get out and film with the Sony A7S3, the camera that's filming this right now. And I'm going to throw in some footage. You can make of that what you will. That footage was filmed primarily with the Zeiss. And the reasons, again, are this lens is very friendly to carry because of its very minuscule weight, and it's well balanced on the small Sony body. So enjoy that footage. If you would like to subscribe or share this video, please go ahead, and feel free to comment down below. I will be looking in on those comments periodically and will do my best to answer any of your questions. That's all I have for now. I'll catch you next time.
She's loving it.